Hey guys, so today I wanted to get on here and talk to you about using assessments as a tool in your homeschool. I'm not telling you that you need to use tests an assessments as a tool in your homeschool. I'm not advocating for tests. If you think that tests are something that only belongs in the schoolroom and are not relevant to your homeschool, I agree with you. I have opted my kids out of tests upon occasions when we were with the charter. That's not what this video is about. I just want to share with you how using tests can be a help if you are looking for solutions to specific problems. So I'm going to share a couple of different types of results with you and give you my opinion about which are the least and most helpful. And so we're going to start with the California state testing. The abbreviation is CASP. I don't really know what it stands for, but this is the one that they give to students every spring, and it tests ELA and math. And this is the report that the parent gets, and it tells you the first page has if the standard's not met, standard nearly met, standard met, or standard exceeded. So here you can see the student met the standard in both language arts and mathematics. And then you get another chart which tells you the same thing. This is usually in color, so it has red, yellow, green, and blue, I think. And so here we have the state average, which, as you can see, the state average is not meeting the standard. It's standard nearly met during whatever year this was. And the school average for the charter school that we were with at that time, it's about the same. So both the school's average and the state average are about the same, which if you are familiar with bell curves, that's typically how those things go. And then you have, this is for the language arts results. You have reading, writing, listening, and research inquiry. And the next page is math. And again, we have the state average, which is the standards not met. Once again, the standards nearly met, and same with the charter school, and they're within 15 points of each other. And then my student met the standard. And then it tells you like this general assessment of what's tested. And then we have some prior results. So if your student was in public school for some period of time or charter school for some period of time, they've got this. So what does this really tell you? I mean, not much, right? It tells you your child met or didn't meet the state standard. What is the state standard? Looking at this, it says nothing, right? There's basically zero helpful information whatsoever. Also, if the state decides to change its standards from one year to the next, that's not measured here. The only thing that's measured is, did you meet whatever these amorphous state standards are? We're not telling you what they are in here. We're not telling you what your kid needs to work on. It's completely vague and, in my opinion, completely unhelpful in terms of if you want to work on those things, right? It may be the case that the charter teachers get a more detailed report, but as a homeschooling parent, this is from a homeschool assessment, you don't get anything. So I really don't like state tests for that reason. I also think that the way that they test students is not necessarily helpful. For example, once they're in third grade, they have to type out essays and things like that completely independently, and they're only tested in English and math. So what about social studies and science? Nobody knows, right? So the state testing, I feel like, is just not helpful. It does prepare your student for more testing. So if you're looking to prepare your student for taking the SAT, ACT, CLT, things like that, it would be helpful for that. But for actual terms of determining a plan working forward to help your student or to know what your student is proficient in, I just don't think it's that great. The next test we're going to talk about, so this is, I feel, the least helpful. So middle helpful is the STAR test. The STAR test and iReady are both adaptive. I'm pretty sure iReady is also what I'm about to say, but I'm not an expert. Adaptive assessments, so that means if your student gets an answer correct, then the next question is a little bit harder, and it keeps going this way until your student can no longer answer questions. And so at the top of the results, you have, again, it's color-coded, so this is big, scary red, and then this is green, and this is yellow, and I don't know what color this is, maybe orange or something, or maybe that's orange and that's yellow. So it tells you the most recent test, because they have to do STAR testing 3 times a year in our charter. I'm not sure if public school's the same. And then the projected result. And I don't remember if this is middle of the year, beginning of the year. So sorry, I didn't write that down. But so you get a score, which again, not very helpful. You have a percentile rank, and this is for math. I'm not sure if it says, oh yeah, it says math. So none of this is particularly helpful, right? Like, okay, so you did really great and you have this score, but like, what are we talking about in terms of math, right? That's a rather large subject. So this particular thing is called some kind of report. I don't remember what it's called, but it gives you a little bit more information. So that's why I'm sharing this version rather than just the results. So it says, based on these results, here are the skills that we recommend that your child works on. So this is a 4th grade math test. They're recommending 6th grade skills to work on to challenge the student. And so it gives an example of understand coordinate signs and determine quadrants. And then we have algebraic practice, expressions and equations. Work on evaluating an expression with whole number powers. Evaluate an expression with given variables. Relate a graph table to 2 variable equations and solve a problem x plus p equals q or px equals q. And interestingly, this was a type of question that was on here. And so I might have shared before how my son was taking a test, and there was some kind of question on there for math or English, and then he didn't know how to do it, and so then he wanted to learn how to do it. So that's an example of a type of a question that might come up on an exam where you know that your child doesn't know a particular thing. Sorry, I just went into a random tangent, but I forgot to mention in the beginning of this that if you're homeschooling your child and you're sitting there doing the math and the language arts with them on a daily basis, you're going to know what they do and don't know. And then I have another paper to share with you. But anyway, so like you're going to know, for example, your student doesn't do particularly well in this things, or they do really well in those things. So math and language arts are 2 subjects where I feel like those are kind of easier to assess on your own without needing a formal test. That was the point of that whole little ramble. Anyway, moving to the next part of the STAR test. So this is I think it's called instruction something or other. And then this is the family report, also for math. So you have here more detailed information about what exactly your child may need to work on. So here we have algebra, score of 74, measurement and data 54, and geometry 53. And then you can see numbers and operations in base 10 and fractions are stronger. So this student hadn't worked on geometry yet and hadn't worked on measurement and data yet. So this, again, isn't new information to me, but it does help you if you, for example, if you're in a large family or your student's just coming out of public school, or you are trying to assess what's next for your student, which level to put them at, those types of things, that's what this can be helpful for. But again, STAR testing is only English and math. So of limited utility. But if you do have to do it because you're in a charter school, I feel like you can at least get some benefit out of it. Do I think you need to do it 3 times a year? Absolutely not. I think it's completely ridiculous that they make students do CASP testing and do 3 times a year STAR testing, plus all this other stuff, but that's a whole other subject. So the last type of assessment we're going to talk about, which is what I feel is the best testing to be using in your homeschool, is the Iowa Basic Test. So we take these with BJU Press. We've done them for several years. We have participated in studies related to homeschooling. And the reason that I find Iowa Basic Test to be the most valuable is because they give you information for all of the main 4 subjects, which is English, math, social studies, and science, and it breaks it down by subject. So you get concept-specific information for your student about their strengths and weaknesses. So let's start with these tables down here. The 0 is, I think, the average like 50% percentile, and then anything that's to the left is below average percentile, and anything to the right is above average. So as you can see, the student scored below average for reading informational texts, punctuation, phonemic awareness and decoding, geometry, once again, surprise, surprise, history, essential, and then a couple of social studies standards, and then earth and space science. So what does this tell you if you're a homeschooling parent and you're trying to decide what to do for your student? Maybe you want to work on earth and space science. Maybe you want to work on history. Maybe you want to work on geometry, punctuation, things like that. So that's the purpose of this test for me. It's really not, oh, my child is 90th percentile in this and 20th percentile in that. That doesn't matter to me. I don't care about that. What I care about is there something that we haven't gone over? Or is there something we have gone over and my student doesn't remember any of it? That's also another red flag. So next we have the following year for this student, the results. So again, we have capitalization and punctuation issues, and then there's a very small extended reasoning. There's only 6 questions here, so I'm not particularly worried about that. And then let's look at earth and space science. Guess what? We focused on earth and space science, and this student is now in the 91st percentile of the standard, and 70th percent nationally. Oh wait, the national is 70%, so 91st. So let's look at that first test again. We went from the 50th compared with the standard, so 50th percentile to the 91st percentile. So you could see how this makes a difference. Like, you focus on something and it makes a difference, except for punctuation apparently, but that's a whole other story. There was another, this reading informational, same thing. I think this is reading comprehension. So we were in the 33rd percentile, then we focused on that the following year, and we went to the 75th percentile. I think I might be reading this completely wrong, but I think that's right. So, and then as you can see, like, here's the national percentage graph. We had a couple in the 25th percentile, and the following year there's none in the 25th percentile, and we've got substantially more in the top quartile. So that's good. And just one more thing about this test generally is this column is the grade equivalent. So this was the end of first grade, and the grade equivalents are roughly second grade. So you're going into second grade. So that's what we would want to see. And same thing here. This is the end of second grade. So we're going into third grade, and the grade equivalents here are roughly, well, it's fourth grade, but you can see there's some ready for third grade readiness, but this is the math is throwing off those results. Okay, and then going into third grade, there's some change, particularly with math, because in third grade they start testing different concepts, but you can see the general grade equivalent scores. This is end of third grade, so we would want to see a fourth grade score here, and it averages out, right? Science, we've got fifth grade, social studies, fifth grade, a couple of math concepts are a little bit lower, written expression is at a fifth grade level. We did do, what is it called? The zookeeper, night zookeeper, and readings right on target, so all that stuff is good. And I did want to add, I forgot to say it when we were talking about second grade, as I noticed that there was some reading comprehension deficits in what we were doing, so that was the point when we had implemented Memoria Press's literature guides, and those made a substantial difference in reading comprehension. I think it was under this type of stuff. And as you can see, capitalization and punctuation are still an Achilles heel in our homeschool. But I do have other tests results, but I feel like these are the most helpful. And you can see there's like a change from year to year, but everything is roughly in the middle of the bell curve, which is fine with me. We have also done COGAT testing, but that's not really generally helpful for planning purposes. That's more for getting into specific programs and things. So anyway, hopefully I made my point about the value of using these things and responding to your planning in your homeschool by using these results, but not letting them be your master. You know, it really doesn't matter if your child is above some things and below others. That's how development works. That's how learning works. But if you want to have some sort of checks and balance on what you're doing and see, like, we spent a whole year on physics and my kid scored horribly on physics, what did I do wrong? That's what Iowa is going to be good for you. And I'll just mention again, we use BJU Press online. They are a Christian company, but they just administer the tests. So it's, you know, completely secular thing. It has nothing to do with their denomination or anything. And they have the best customer service. We've had all sorts of snafus technologically, and they get the kids all set up. And they're very, very nice. So highly recommend them. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.